Imagine in Iran that instead of spending their wealth, billions of dollars supporting terrorists or weapons, had spent that money helping the people of Iran, you'd have a much different country.
It's just a dream.
And the homeless population, a lot of them don't want to take the program.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
This, according to Oxfam, of the world's 85 richest people, is equal to the 3.5 billion poorest people.
It's fantastic.
Homelessness in America is at a record high, with more than 770,000 unhoused Americans in 2024.
Yes!
There is oftentimes the belief that many of the major issues we face today are not related. That belief is wrong. Issues like poverty, war, a lack of housing, a dying ecosystem, massive concentrations of wealth, and income inequality are all closely related. The major problems we see are merely symptoms of an ill system, an economic system built and sustained by exploitation. Simply put, capitalism is killing us all. Capitalism is characterized by its prioritization of profit above all else, and its exploitation of countries, workers, and natural resources, alongside strong class antagonism and a tumor-like mindset of infinite growth on a finite planet. And that's just the beginning of it. A system that has obtained this level of power will never willingly give it up, regardless of what reforms are put forward. As Karl Marx famously wrote, the executive of the modern state is but a committee for managing the common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie. Because capitalism inherently produces massive inequality and exploitation, it requires a massive apparatus of force to prevent the oppressed working class from overthrowing the system. Because of this, the state only serves as an instrument of violence used by the ruling class to dominate the working class through its many arms, through things like the police and military, but also through the prison industrial complex, border enforcement, corporate-owned media, and bureaucracy. The state can decide that when a corporation pollutes a town's water supply, it's just business, protected by the law. But when the starving man steals food from a mega corporation, it is a heinous crime, punishable by violence from the police and subject to the prison industrial complex. These institutions are traitors to the working class and only serve to protect the capital of the ruling class, or in other words, the bourgeoisie, those who hold the majority of society's wealth and own the means of production. This is the purpose of these institutions, not to stop crime or promote justice, and certainly not to protect and serve. The state is not broken and in need of fixing, it is operating and running just as it was designed to. This power must be taken, or rather, returned to the working class. To change this system requires a complete and fundamental transformation, its abolishment, which can only be accomplished through Whoa, a bit extreme, don't you think? No, sure. Revolutions can be violent, but is it better to continue to suffer under the highly organized violence that the state commits every day, or to fight back? Like all changes, a revolution requires tireless work and a constant effort to even get to that moment. Only through a relentless pursuit to educate the masses and through building the proper infrastructure for that moment could we possibly abolish the exploitive capitalist system. Think of it as a home. Homes are more than just walls and a roof. In order for a home to work, it must have utilities like water pipes, electricity wiring, a ventilation system, support beams, a strong foundation, and labor that puts it all together. In this case, the proper infrastructure for revolution would consist of these main utilities: education, building organizations, mutual aid, getting directly involved, and then finally the labor that puts it all together to create a successful revolutionary movement. These should be the main objectives of every leftist and self described revolutionary. So, what is the importance of education? Might be the most crucial part of revolution, since without it, it would be like building a puzzle but not knowing what that puzzle is meant to look like. Reading and understanding theory offers the tools to understand the root causes of economic inequality and class conflict, as well as to develop a proper criticism of capitalism and its many crises. Understanding more difficult and complex topics like dialectical materialism is fundamental and essential to building any organization capable of meeting the task of revolution. But education also means developing an understanding of a whole slew of other things, be it technical skills, medical knowledge, interpersonal skills, adaptability, or an understanding of the legal system and legal frameworks. These skills are necessary to communicate more effectively with others, fostering strong collective decision making and turning abstract, disorganized ideas into real, tangible actions. Having an understanding of practical tasks such as knowing how to repair machinery, use self defense, administer medical aid, and manage resources is necessary for self sufficiency, ensuring a revolution can not just survive but also thrive. Being able to handle conflict and disagreements and then going beyond that and still cooperating with others is essential for organizing and getting the necessary hard work done for a better world. While on the matter of education, it is critical to understand history and to learn from what has been tried, to adapt and overcome so that we avoid repeating the same mistakes and apply those lessons to our current and ever evolving challenges. Now, with a greater understanding of the importance of education in its many forms, you are better equipped to begin. Building organizations is incredibly important since they allow the working class to have other resources to rely on, rather than government programs that only seek to treat the symptom while ignoring the root cause. In this case, the exploitation of the working class. Government programs seek to pacify the working class from class struggle and revolution through programs like food stamps, unemployment benefits, and public housing. All these programs are designed to provide just enough relief to preserve workers' dependence on the state and keep them impoverished. None of these programs address low wages, union busting, or certainly not workplace exploitation, the actual causes of poverty, because doing so would threaten capitalist profits. So instead, they toss crumbs and scraps and offer band aid solutions that can always be taken away at any moment. This is how it works. By keeping workers in a perpetual state of survival mode, leaving them too disorganized and disoriented to even ask or fight for systemic change. It is cheaper to fund a welfare program than face a revolution, all while maintaining the illusion that the exploitive machinery can be reformed. Organization building is incredibly important for this very reason, eliminating workers' dependence on a system that will only continue to exploit them. Now, what organization you should build is incredibly dependent on what major issues are facing your community. And since you understand the importance of education, you should be able to take a step back and have a proper analysis of what these challenges in need of addressing look like. In the case of the Black Panther Party, once just a group of college students in Oakland, California, disappointed with a civil rights movement that failed to meaningfully address the conditions African Americans experience outside the South, radicalized by the violence the state was committing and police brutality, they decided to do something about it. They fought for decent housing and community control of the police to end the state-sponsored violence. They provided free breakfast for kids every day before they went off to school. They set up these programs of free food giveaways, access to free clinics, educational initiatives like the freedom schools, and most importantly, community self-defense from the class traitors we refer to as the police, all while focusing the criticism on the capitalist system and never backsliding or capitulating. All these programs they led were not charity. It was people getting together after recognizing what their community was lacking and then working to provide it, or in other words, mutual aid is the next natural step once having a proper understanding of Marxist theory, because now is the time to apply that theory to real world situations. But what exactly is mutual aid? In the simplest words, it is a community coming together to meet each other's needs, functioning independently from the state and recognizing that the system has no intention of solving our problems. Then, after recognizing this, building an alternative structure that provides for the needs of the people, be it in its many forms. When people experience what it feels like to have a strong community free from corporate or government influence, it enlightens working people to see a possible future, one free from the ruling class, and changes our society from each according to his ability to each according to his needs, and demonstrates how we don't need them. Through collective action, we can take care of ourselves. So when you're considering starting a mutual aid, start by looking for what your community needs. Is it food, medical care, child care, housing support, education, legal defense? It will strongly depend on the local conditions, but the focus stays the same. You need to identify the issue, then bring the people together to fix it, and use that organizing as a foundation to build collective power and class consciousness. Remember, the goal of mutual aid is to build class consciousness and class solidarity. Most importantly, to build the structures that will eventually replace the system entirely, showing people that we have the power to create a world without bosses, landlords, or politicians. But now that we have a more profound understanding of these objectives, what should we be doing from here? The simplest answer I can offer is by getting directly involved can be easier said than done, but it doesn't exclusively require your direct labor. Simply start a conversation about the topic, not in an information vomit way that could be off-putting, but in a way that smoothly integrates into the regular conversation. For example, if a family member or friend complains about the rising prices of gas, don't respond with a snarky lecture about imperialism and oil. Instead, acknowledge their frustration and ask questions. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Why do you think prices keep going up when oil companies are already making record profits? Anytime you discuss people's direct issues, always relate them to the issues of capitalism, because it always is. Then, going beyond conversations, work within your community and bring together like-minded people. Join existing organizations if they're around, socialist groups, tenant unions, labor organizations, or community defense network. Help out currently existing mutual aid groups and try to get involved in organizing activities. If there's nothing in your area, then that is your sign to start something. What if you're not entirely sure what your community needs? Well, now's the time to put the social in socialism and just go door to door talking to your neighbors. You can accomplish this in many ways through community meetings and surveys. Let the community guide you and prioritize their needs. Through this, you will build trust and will strengthen their belief in you and your commitment to deliver results. You should see an impact start to form. Above all else, never lose sight of the goal. Every action and every step you take is building the world we want to live in, piece by piece, brick by brick. The revolution isn't a singular moment. It's a plant waiting to grow from the cracks of the old world and bloom into the new world.